Welcome back. Former FBI Director Jim Comey continuing a promotional book tour for his new book while defending his leaks to the media. Comey said that he authorized his friend to share the contents of one unclassified memo with the media regarding a conversation he had with the president. He also says that he was a private citizen when he turned over a total of 4 documents to his friend. Senator Lindsey Graham is with me right now to discuss that. And what do you make of all of this? You know, he told Bret Baier, right, that's not a leaker. I gave the memo to my friend with the intent to hand it over to the New York Times. That sounds like a leak to me, Senator. Well,
he gave it to 2 other individuals, one a former special counsel, Mr. Fitzgerald. But here's what's important. Comey said he did this for the express reason of hoping a special counsel would be appointed. So he made a decision, James Comey did, to try to press the system to appoint a special counsel. If that doesn't show a motivation and a bias against President Trump, I don't know what would. But here's the real issue for me, Loretta Lynch versus Comey. Comey says that Loretta Lynch told him, don't call the Clinton email investigation, call it a matter. She denies that. Comey says there's classified information that if ever got to be revealed would destroy Loretta Lynch's credibility when it came to the Clinton email investigation. These 2 people need to be brought to Congress, put under oath, and resolve this conflict. James Comey, I don't trust him. I think he was part of an effort at the FBI to give Clinton a pass. The way they conducted the investigation was a joke. The thumb was on the scale. The head investigator by the FBI hated Trump, like Clinton. They were trying to come up with an insurance policy to make sure that Trump didn't win the election. They talked openly about how much they hated Trump. And I think the Clinton email investigation was a joke.
And I assume that is what we are going to hear from the forthcoming IG report, which is expected to focus on Jim Comey's behavior as well as the handling of the Clinton email scandal.
And let's fill that out. Comey said to Bret Baier, I didn't know the Democratic Party and the Clinton campaign paid Fusion GPS money to prepare the dossier. If you ask the FBI today how much of the dossier is verified, almost none, and the verification comes from open media sources. This dossier was prepared by a foreign agent paid by the Democratic Party and used to get a FISA warrant, and the FBI, former FBI director, did not know that it was a political document paid by a political party. To me, that is stunning. Right. Not only was the Clinton email investigation a joke, the dossier was used inappropriately.
So how do you call yourself someone who, agrees with and follows the rule of law if, in fact, you used a piece of garbage as, the reason to wiretap and listen in on an American citizen? It's the whole thing. And the point you made about the special counsel motivation, that alone makes it important government research or government information. So it's all, we're going to learn a lot once this IG report comes out. And then there's Brennan and Clapper, Senator. So John Brennan has been out in the press, criticizing President Trump along with Mr. Clapper. Yesterday, Brennan tweeted this: Mr. Trump, your hypocrisy knows no bounds. Jim Clapper is a man of integrity, honesty, ethics, and morality. You are not. Jim Clapper served his country for over a half-century, including in Vietnam. You did not. By your words and behavior, you diminished the office of the presidency. Here we have the former head of the CIA, the former head of intelligence. You've got Clapper and Brennan trashing the president. Meanwhile, they may very well have been in on the fix to try to knock down Donald Trump and keep Hillary Clinton in charge.
Does Brennan and Clapper sound like 2 people who would give Donald Trump a fair shake? Let me read a email exchange between the lead investigator of the Clinton email investigation and a DOJ lawyer. I want to believe the path he threw out for consideration in Andy's office, and who's Andy, that there's no way he gets elected, but I'm afraid we can't take that risk. It's like an insurance policy in the unlikely event you die before you're 40. God, Trump is a loathsome human being. Trump is an F idiot, is unable to provide a coherent answer. These are the people in charge of the Clinton email investigation. The dossier was prepared by a foreign agent paid by the Democratic Party. This whole thing stinks. We should have a special counsel looking at DOJ corruption, looking at how the dossier was given to the court. And finally, the number 4 person at the Department of Justice, Mr. Bruce Orr's wife, worked for Fusion GPS, worked with Michael Steele, who prepared the dossier, and he was Steele's handler. If the shoe were on the other foot, it'd be front-page news all over the world. That's exactly right. Senator, it's good to have you on the program this morning. Thank you. Thank you. Senator Lindsey Graham. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Tester started throwing out things that he's heard. Well, I know things about Tester that I could say, too. And if I said them, he'd never be elected again.
That was President Trump continuing an attack on Montana Senator Jon Tester at last night's rally in Michigan after calling on the top Democrat to resign. The president is blaming Tester for derailing the nomination of White House Dr. Ronny Jackson for Secretary of Veterans Affairs. Carl Rove is joining me right now. He's former White House Deputy Chief of Staff and Senior Advisor to President George W. Bush and a Fox News contributor. Carl, it was a pleasure. Thanks for joining this morning.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
So it was all Tester who made sure that speculation about Ronny Jackson got out into the press so that everybody would talk about why he was not right for the job. And then we hear the Secret Service come out yesterday and said absolutely no evidence on any of those things, that he wrecked a car, that he got, all of the things that were out there. The Secret Service says there's no evidence of it. So was this just a sham to get for the Democrats to create more noise and chaos around President Trump?
Well, it was a drive-by shooting, and it was apparently successful. And Tester took anonymous charges, threw them out there, didn't provide any witnesses, didn't, basically treated them as fact, alleged the Secret Service, said the Secret Service had to restrain Jackson from banging on a door of a female assistant during a presidential trip, and because they didn't want to wake President Obama. And that turned out to be, the Secret Service said, we have no evidence whatsoever that ever took place. Tester's anonymous allegations included that he was drunk driving and had a wreck, and the Secret Service said no evidence whatsoever of that at all. So President Trump has every reason to be upset with Senator Tester. In fact, everybody has a reason to be upset with Senator Tester. This is the worst kind of politics, the kind of stuff that goes on in Washington that makes people sick, and he needs to be held to account by the people of Montana. Having said that, the president better not respond in kind. He could turn this from a situation where Tester's opponent can make this an issue of fairness and equity and what ought to go on in Washington. But if the president makes charges like he did and said, I know things and I'm going to say these things, unless they're true, he could just give a Tester a way to wiggle out of this.
That is so wrong. I mean, even, it's the same with the dossier. They come up with these lies, put it in there, in a dossier, and then they use it to wiretap somebody on the Trump campaign. And now lies about Ronny Jackson that's completely, smeared him. And then, of course, there's the shaming and the attacks last night, the White House Correspondents' Dinner, Carl. Were you there?
Oh, no. You kidding? I've gone to my last White House Correspondents' Dinner a long, long time ago. I've read the reports of last night's, and I mean, it is despicable. What was the leadership of the White House Correspondents Association thinking when they booked this woman who got up there and said raunchy and lewd and nasty things? I mean, it just played into every stereotype that we have of the Washington media. And what were they thinking? Look, I was there in 2006 when Stephen Colbert went after President George W. Bush in deeply personal and vicious and demeaning terms, with the president sitting about 5 feet away from him. Thank God President Trump was not there last night when this woman said so many nasty things. Poor Sarah Huckabee Sanders had to sit there and endure personal slights that were unworthy of a drunken bachelorette party. I mean, this is just ridiculous. What were they thinking?
It really is. Yeah, it's disgusting, and Sarah Sanders is sitting right there. Meanwhile, it couldn't, I mean, she's doing a fantastic job, but anybody who doesn't believe with the left, it gets demonized in the press, and there's this shaming that goes on. It has to stop. Do you think the people will hold this to account? Will they hold the Democrats to account come the November midterm elections?
Well, look, we don't know how the midterms are going to turn out. The generic ballot and Real Clear Politics average is about 6 points for the Democrats. But we don't know, and the enthusiasm right now is on the Democratic side. We see it in these special elections where more Democrats tend to turn out than do Republicans, even though Republicans have won 5 of the 6 special congressional elections. The Democrats are pressing, but we got a long time between now and the election. But yeah, you got to balance the question of fairness versus the anger on the hard left of the Democratic Party. And remember, in elections like the midterms, basically about 4 out of every 10 Americans who are eligible to vote turn out to vote. So the relative enthusiasm of the party's base plays a big role in the election outcome.
I understand, but